All right, everybody. Thank you very much for the invitation to present our project. On behalf of the FORRT community, we're literally delighted to be selected as the finalists. This project is part of FORRT, the Framework for Open and Reproducible Research Training, which is an interdisciplinary and international community of early career scholars that aim to integrate open scholarship, open science into higher education and advance research transparency, reproducibility, and rigor through pedagogical reform and meta-science. Our proposed project today has the goal of tracking replications efforts across social behavior and cognitive sciences and making the use of replications mainstream in academia as well as in industry. But before I explain the project in detail, I'd like to introduce to you a few people for whom we're doing this project for. In my years as the director of FORRT, I have heard countless stories about how people engage with open science and what are the hurdles for them that they face in trying to implement open science practices in their work. So please allow me to share a few of these stories. So meet Sky. Sky is a brilliant PhD student in social psychology who's interested in studying the effects of priming in human behavior. She spent the first year in her PhD running projects on this topic, collecting data and studies, but her results are never significant. She followed the same methods as previously published literature. She followed them to the letter. Over time, however, Sky started to doubt her own skills as a researcher, and she felt she must be doing something wrong or be not as smart as other people. After years of trying and a lot of hard work, she has nothing to show for. The other story is about Jacob. Jacob is a devoted teacher at a university. He teaches first-year students in the topic of marketing. After learning about the many studies in his field that doesn't replicate, Jacob became concerned with only teaching replicable and robust research. However, due to his demanding teaching schedule and hours, Jacobs find it challenging to keep track of all the replications that his course alludes to. So it's a daunting, continuous, never-ending task. Meet Nina. Nina is a behavioral scientist and policy advisor. She works for an international governmental organization and advises multiple governments on policies to combat disinformation. Nina's work is about finding scientific evidence on what works and what doesn't work, combating misinformation. Like Jacob, Nina struggles to keep track of which findings are robust and replicable. So she misses an aggregator that puts this study together, and more importantly, that contextualizes these studies in relation to other studies, so she can make an adjudication that is evidence-based so that she can advise and do her work. Lewis, the last case I want to present, is a meta-scientist, and he studies how scientists do science. He used to engage in what is now known as questionable research practices, but upon learning about research quality, research integrity, and robustness, he became interested in large-scale studies and patterns about how to do science, right? So, and he's interested in medicine, ecology, political science, etc. However, it's extremely hard for him to find and navigate that amount of literature. So all these too frequent stories generate a lot of loss of talent, researchers' time and funding, right? Our community wanted to help mitigate the occurrence of these problems. And a common denominator among these stories is the desire for a database that both aggregates and contextualize available replications. So we thought of providing this one-stop shop for replications, a place where everybody can benefit, a global research community that works collaboratively to share new replications, as well as linking together disconnected research into scientific knowledge, right? And knowledge that is useful across a variety of actors and disciplines. So we want really to reshape culture towards prioritization of reproducibility and robustness. For us, it's all about openness, robust research, and collaboration. And thus we started this project to cater for these goals and needs. Our project has the goal of collaboratively tracking replication efforts across social behavior and cognitive sciences and making use of replications mainstream in everything that is related to research and science, as it should be, as it was designed to be. And so All of this, of course, would be open and having special components that I'm going to talk about that are tailored to different stakeholder needs, whether that is an academic or the industry researchers, teachers, or educators, policy-oriented stakeholders, funders, or meta scientists. So at heart, our project has three main goals. The first goal is to create and maintain a comprehensive database that catalogs replication efforts across various fields in social, behavioral, and cognitive sciences. The second goal is to develop two user-friendly Shiny apps for finding, exploring, and visualizing replication data, enabling field-specific meta-scientific analysis. The third goal is to conduct several outreach initiatives and activities to encourage contributions to our database, to test the usability of these two apps, and teach researchers, educators, and policymakers how to best engage with this developed resource. So how do we achieve this? We leverage the power of community and big team science to essentially put together over 100 scholars that has so far contributed 600 replication effects, spanning across 22 disciplines. That's what we already have. Our current database is already interdisciplinary. It contains effects for marketing, social and decision-making, political science, sociology, educational sciences, linguistics, neuroscience, experimental philosophy, and more. It's constantly growing. We display on our website this crowdsourced replications in a way that is optimized to be user-friendly, in a way that prioritizes the user experience and information accessibility. So on your left, you have you can see some of the effects for marketing, for example, how it's displayed in our website. On your right, you see which information is embedded on each of these entries, this little green entries. You click on it and that it opens up. The original effect size can be seen, all the critiques and replications along with their effect sizes. Everything is, of course, hyperlinked, so you can follow up with the original work. This also means that for each entry of the 600 effects, there's several registered studies. So our database is more or less a little larger than that, so in around a couple thousand. Last, we provide, based on the available evidence, an adjudication, or what we think is a helpful qualitative decision on whether a given effect is replicated, not replicated, has mixed findings, or is reversed. So our proposal today hopes to develop these two user-friendly Shiny apps to support these entries, this database. The first app, we call it Reference Annotation, and it supports education and citation practices. This app allows users to upload reference lists or teaching or syllabi based on the DOI. The app will automatically identify which studies in your reference list has been replicated and what are the results of these replications. This supports the incorporation of replication efforts in education as well as in research, and we hope that it reduces the chances that stakeholders using scientific claims that have been previously debunked. This app also comes with an annotated reading list, which is supposed to reinforce the chances that scholars, educators, policy advisors will increasingly cite and use and teach only replicable and robust research. Our second Shiny app is a tool for data visualization, analysis to support meta scientists. It will enable users to interactively engage with our app in a way that they can use to answer meta scientific questions. Of course, the data is also open if they want to do that on themselves, but it was designed to advance our knowledge about how scientists do science at scale. For example, the proposed app will be able to evaluate the rate of failed replications within subfields, but also generally, the magnitude of successfully replicated effect sizes, changes in citation rates, and much more. So to give one example, the proposed app will provide a comparison between original versus replicated research. And as you can see in this figure, essentially for nudging effects, the replicated effect sizes are much smaller in magnitude and also have a little bit less variance compared to the original findings. Imagine, however, being able to do this in your own field. That's the dream. That's the dream we're pursuing, and it's long-term, we know, but we can get there. And what if I told you that we are partnering up with the second large database of replications? It's called the Replication Database, or RED for short. They have currently 100 entries, mostly in psychology, however, but we are merging these initiatives to benefit the larger community. And we are also integrating the now defunct Curate Science, which was a database of replications as well, into our efforts because they made the data open. So we expect a significant increase of effects in our database, but we need your help and funding to make it happen, because these initiatives approach these problems in very different ways. So putting it all together is a very interesting challenge moving forward. The third goal of our proposal is to teach, educate, and leverage community and feedback at scale so that we can provide a tool that is useful for all social behavior and cognitive sciences. For this, we need more representation. We need more coverage across fields and disciplines. Only then this resource will have the large impact in benefiting the academic community as a whole. And for this, we need to increase our coverage, and we need to increase the interdisciplinarity of our databases. So for this, we plan 4 activities. First, we'll host workshops and record YouTube tutorials on how to teach and add entries efficiently in our database, and that can also be used for research, education, and policy purposes. Secondly, we'll present our project at several international conferences, and we will also use social media channels that we have, FORRT, say Blue Sky, Twitter, etc., so that we can always give database updates for the community. Lastly, we aim to publish open access peer-reviewed research describing the database, also the apps, and conducting several meta research on these topics that our database allows for. So as you can imagine, it takes a village to make this dream a reality. We haven't made it so far without the help of many people. And I would like to thank Elena Hartman, and especially, who is our leader in this project, but also the application team, as well as the FORRT Reversals project managers, who are doing God's work behind the scenes. That's it. Thank you very much. If I'm allowed just a few more words, I would like to conclude by saying that FORRT has many other initiatives, so please check our website if you're interested in discovering more resources, pedagogies, didactics, and ways of teaching open science.